Greetings, everyone. Welcome to a special video edition of Music is a Journey. It's special because Peter, that's my name, Peter. I'm doing my video contribution entry to the contest created by MGK Boston, none other than Mike over there in Buffalo. Yeah, you probably noticed the Boston Buffalo thing. Don't worry, he gets ribbing about it all the time. But he is doing his annual drive at the beginning of the year to try to push up his subscriber count. Last year, he was going for 1 trillion. I think he made it because this year he is going for a quatrillion. I'm not exactly sure how much a quatrillion is. I know how much a quadrillion is, but I think it might be either 4 trillions or a quarter of a quadrillion, or maybe it's just a quarter trillion. I don't know, but anyway, it's a big number. He just wants more people sub to his channel. Who doesn't? So he every year does a drive to get attention to his channel, and how he does it is he asks all the people who are his friends who already sub his channel to make videos to try to attract more subscribers. So that's what I'm doing because Mike is a friend, and friends help each other out. So he has put forth just 10 questions, and I will go through them here now. I might have to pause every once in a while because I've got to grab things from here and there, but stay with me, all right? All right, let's see here. Okay, I'm not going to leave you. I'm going to pause the video. You know what I'm doing. So here we go. Question number 1 says to show an album owned by your spouse or significant other that you don't like, that your spouse or significant other has in his or her collection that you don't, or their collection, if you want to be PC, that you don't like, or if you're single, or if you like all your spouse's stuff, show an album you are embarrassed to have in your collection. We're going to turn it around there. We're going to turn something that I had in my CD collection before that my wife was shocked to find out that I had. And actually I found it really wasn't what I wanted, and I got rid of it. So there is a Japanese pop artist named Suzuki Ami, or Ami Suzuki for you Western folks. She's really not my style. However, the reason why a CD of hers ended up in my collection was because back in the late 90s, I was volunteering teaching English in Vancouver. I went to a language exchange club where I would teach English for an hour, and I could get a Japanese lesson for an hour, or at least, ask questions about Japanese, whatever. So what happened was, one of the students that I had, they were mostly young Japanese women or young Korean men. There were a few Korean women, but not so many. And there were a few Japanese men, but not so many. Anyway, one of the young women that I frequently taught said that she had been in Canada for 6 months and she was going to have to go back to Japan soon. So she thought she would buy some of the CDs that had the songs that were popular on the radio at the time that she liked. So when she went back to Japan, she could play those songs that were popular while she was in Vancouver, and they would remind her of her time there. So when I first came to Japan, I was here on a working holiday visa, which goes for 6 months, and then you can renew it for another 6 months. And after that, you either have to go back or change your visa. So I had this idea that I don't know if I'm only going to be here 6 months or whatever, so I am going to buy some of the albums of popular songs on the radio. And what I ended up doing was buying some Japanese pop albums, which I no longer have because it really was not my style. Suzuki Ami was probably the most extreme example. In fact, just before making this video, I checked what album was it I had because I really couldn't remember. I guessed which one it might have been because the release year was 2000, and it was probably 1999 or 2000 anyway. I was here since from April 1999. Was that when I arrived? April 1999. So it could have been the 1999 album, or it might have been after a year and I might be going back. I don't remember. Anyway, I bought a Suzuki Ami album, particularly for one song. I couldn't remember what song it was. This has turned out to be a long video, isn't it? Bear with me. In the end, the whole album was just this like teenage girl pop stuff. And honestly, watching a video just a few moments ago, it turned me off immediately. It was just like, whoa, no, this is, I cannot listen to this. I mean, the singing sounds poor and forced, and it's just because it's a cute 18-year-old girl who's wearing a cute costume on stage. That's probably why most people bought it. Anyway, I had that in my collection when I started dating my wife, and she was really surprised to see that. Just, you like Suzuki Yami? No, 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 no. Number 2 is show a favorite snack and review it. Oh, yes, favorite snack. Just a moment. Gotta do that. All right, a favorite snack. So, this is a rice cracker. It's called senbei in Japanese. There are many kinds of rice crackers, all different sizes and shapes and whatever. This is more or less a plain one. I know it doesn't look plain, but I'll get there just a moment. It's basically a plain one because some of them come with soy sauce baked in, or some of them have some like sweet sugar on there, whatever. This is a plain rice cracker, salted, mind you. It does have some salt. I don't know what kind of salt. Asari usushio, so it means lightly salted. Very lightly salted. And then it has black beans. You can see this black stuff here, black beans in there. And I really like these because there's also a soy sauce version too, but I prefer this version. There's one other version with green beans in, which I really like, but that's very hard to come by. What does it say here? Nihon no kome 100% shio, so dakara oishii. Yeah. Made with 100% Japanese rice. That's why it's delicious. So, yeah, and what does it say up here? Protein 2.3 grams in one rice cracker, and table salt, basically 0.06 grams. I'm not 100% sure, but I seem to remember that rice crackers are gluten-free. Just in case Brian's wondering, Embryonic Brian. By the way, Embryonic Brian at Embryonic Robot, he did a review of chocolate-covered almonds that was just so good that I gave up doing chocolate-covered almonds because that was going to be my choice. So I've picked these instead. So here they are. They're the rice crackers here. And what I like to do is to put one of these little cheese blocks on top. This is a mozzarella one. Could be a camembert or something. Actually, you know what? I just ate one of these, so I don't feel like eating another one right now, even though I could. But nevertheless, here it is, a rice cracker with black beans in, lightly salted, and then just a little block of mozzarella cheese. Of course, take the foil wrapper off. You don't want to bite into that if you've got fillings. Put that one on top and munch, munch, munch. It's great. I love this. All right, that's the snack. Number 3 says to wear a cool shirt in your video and explain why you think it's a cool shirt. I'm trying to read my own handwriting here. Yeah, so there it is. I've got lots of shirts that I have not worn for a long time. I don't remember if it's because they're getting old and the collar is getting loose, or because they're a little too snug fitting. Actually, it's kind of loose now. That's why it's so wrinkly, because it's been tucked away in a box. It smells like it's been tucked away in a box too, actually. So this is One Track Mind, Aoraki Mount Cook, New Zealand. This I picked up when we were there in 2008. Actually, my wife and I were married in New Zealand, and then we drove around afterwards. We didn't do any major hiking, although we did stop at Aoraki Mount Cook Visitor Center, and I did a hike up to a viewpoint. I think I've shown this once before, but because we're talking about New Zealand, I'll show it again. I did a quick hike up to a viewpoint along the river where I snapped this photograph of Aoraki Mount Cook. Aoraki being the Maori name for the mountain, also the highest mountain in New Zealand. What is it? 3,754 meters, I think. A little bit lower than Mount Fuji. It actually used to be about 10, 12 meters higher, but I don't remember when now. 10, 15, 20 years ago, a huge chunk of ice at the top broke off and the mountain dropped its elevation a bit. But yeah, it was a great trip. I took various photos. These were all shot with a large format camera, so the 4x5-inch size film, and they got published in this Japanese photo magazine. It was the second time. No, it was the first time I was in this magazine. I had another selection in here as well. So yeah, this t-shirt then, I really haven't worn it for a long time, probably because it just doesn't fit the way it used to. It's, I don't know, changed. Okay, let's see here. Number 4, describe both a positive and a negative concert experience. Show an album by both artists. Shoot, I didn't take out the albums. Just a moment. Okay, let's do the negative concert experience first. In 2004, 5, my wife and I were in Canada, and we went to see my favorite band, Sloan, in concert. I think it was at the Vogue Theatre in Vancouver. I have the ticket. I have the ticket somewhere. But anyway, that doesn't matter. We went to see them in concert. And at the time, I think this was just around the time their A-Sides Win compilation album came out with a list of all their singles on here. There were 14 singles on here, plus 2 new tracks. Try to Make It is a really great power pop song. You've got to hear Try to Make It by Sloan. We went to see them in concert. The concert was great. It was really cool because Sloan are known for coming out to speak to their fans afterwards. And so singer, bass player Chris Murphy came down and I got to talk to him a little bit. And my wife we were dating at the time, was standing next to me and just in awe that I was speaking to the guy that she just saw rocking out on stage. But that was the good part. The bad part was that during the concert, there was this guy behind me whose height must have been up to my shoulders. I'm not a tall person. I'm 175 point something centimeters, which is roughly 5'9", 5'9". So not a tall person, but there was a guy whose height probably came up to my shoulders behind me. He had a lit cigarette in his hand, and he just kept jumping up like he was trying to get onto my shoulders or something. So here we are watching the band. We are right up to the stage there. I think we're like 2 heads back from the stage, having a great time. And I've got this lout behind me who just keeps jumping up and banging his chest into my back all the time. And he's like, slow. And I'm like, I'm like, do you mind? Like, I was like, I'm a hobby horse and he can't get over me. What is a hobby horse? I'm a vaulting horse and he can't get over me or something like that. And each time he jumped up, he just kept banging his chest in, between my shoulder blades there. Could you fuck off, for heaven's sake? Anyway, he did that for, I don't know, a few, 2-3 minutes. So that was the one thing. Other than that, I haven't really had any bad experiences at concerts. There's a funny story about a concert I once went to where Snow performed, but that's not a bad concert for me. That was one for him. So that was the bad one. And it turned out it's actually a really good show anyway, so it wasn't all that bad. Then, since another great show I went to was Sloan in Halifax, where my wife and I got to meet all the members and get them to sign our ticket stubs, and my wife actually chatted with Chris Murphy for a while, I'm going to pick a different band. This is a German technical death metal band called Obscura. I saw them in Tokyo, I think it was 2019. Their opening bands were a thrash band from Australia called Mason. They were great. I got to meet them at the merch table, 3 of the 4 members. They were really cool to talk to. Ginger, the Ukrainian metalcore band, didn't see them at all. But Obscura, after the show, they came out. The bass player came up and talked to me for a bit, and then we spoke with the guitar player. I'm going to put some photos in here. And then afterwards, met the whole band, got pictures together. Plus, I got some great shots of them during the concert on stage, so that was really great. In fact, I actually talk about the concert in detail in a video that I recorded at the time, so I'll put a link to that up here somewhere in case you want to know more. So that was fantastic. Loved that there. Cool guys. Let's see, question 5. We're really going at a snail's pace here. This is Music as a Journey style, people. Lots of talking. If you won the lottery, what is your dream destination? Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. So many dream destinations to choose from. I've always been fascinated in Iceland and Namibia. Love to go to Antarctica. Would go back to New Zealand anytime. Great target locations in China for sure that I would like to see. Of course, even in the US. Would love to go to Wales to see my friend Nick over there, and I should do some hiking in the mountains as well. Ireland and Scotland. But I can tell you that one place I have never been to, and it is a big, big place, is the Canadian North. That would be our 3 territories, the Yukon Territory, Northwest Territories, and Nunavut Territory. I would love to explore locations across those, particularly in Nunavut, because a few years ago, or maybe about 10 years ago now, I was researching about Canadian mountains, and I was finding out a lot about mountains up in the north I didn't know about. New national parks have been established with the Canadian National Parks and Indigenous people. So the local people and Canada Parks Canada jointly manage those parks. And so there are all these territorial homelands of the native people that have now been preserved as parkland, which I think is really wonderful. But since I don't actually have anything to show for that, I will show one of the destinations. This is actually in Northwest Territories. This is called Nahanni National Park. This mountain, formerly known as Mount Wilson, has been rechristened with its original indigenous name, and I cannot pronounce it. I would love to tell you what it is, but the good thing is, and this is actually, it is a sacred mountain. Only indigenous peoples who have some kind of business up there, usually related to some kind of spiritual thing, are allowed to climb this mountain now. So I think that's really great that that kind of respect is going on with Parks Canada and basically Canada in general and its indigenous folks. We really needed that for a long time. So I'd like to show you, I made a selection of pages to show you. Just a moment here. I'll do the editing so you don't have to wait for me. So here on the page next to my head, this is called Death Lake. I don't know what the indigenous name for this was, but the Old English name is Death Lake. This is at the Nahanni Plateau. This is the Nahanni Canyon. It is the third largest canyon system on the planet. This here is Rabbit Kettle Hot Springs. This is a tufa mound like you see in Yellowstone National Park. This is our northern version way up there. This location is known as the Sand Blowouts. So much of Nahanni, the Nahanni Plateau is limestone, but this here is sandstone, which is being weathered by the wind. I love this kind of stuff. The picture next to my head, this is Crash Canyon and Crash Lake. Again, I don't know what the indigenous names are. They may have been rechristened by now, which would be a good thing if they were. But back at the time this book was published in the late 1980s, this is Pat and Rosemary Keel, who did this. Yeah, they did a series of books on Canadian locations back in the day. So yeah, that's Crash Canyon and Crash Lake. And here we have the Cirque of the Unclimbables. This is a granite outcropping here. It was called the Unclimbables because they were so steep, but of course they're a popular place with climbers, and they are climbed. They have been climbed many times. So this and many other fascinating landscapes around the great Canadian North. I would, if money and time were no object, I would love to just go up there for 3-4 months for I don't know how many years, just keep going back and going up there and exploring and photographing. I think it would be fantastic. Baffin Island, Ellesmere Island, some of those other islands up there. There's so much incredible scenery up there that I would love to see. So that would be, I guess, really, if I could just choose anything, that would be it. Completely changing the topic, or shall I say, and now for something completely different. Show a blues album. Okay, don't got a lot, but here's Gary Moore, Still Got the Blues. When did this come out? Probably early 90s. I bought it because I was on my Deep Purple family kick way back in 2007, 2008, and Don Airey plays on here. Don Airey, of course, played with Gary Moore, well, on Gary Moore's solo albums in the 80s, as well in Colosseum 2. Some fantastic work with that band. So, Still Got the Blues, and this is an album I have not listened to for probably 18 years or so. So with George G's Room of Rock, Forgotten Albums, February's Forgotten Albums or something like that, this might actually be one to go on my growing list of albums I haven't listened to for a long time. Next is to show a hat in your personal fashion collection. Oh, there's that word fashion. And tell us why you love it. Okay, let's see here then. There we go. He's got his, I've got mine. Okay. This is the hat I wear when I go hiking outside of the winter season. If I go during the winter season, I wear a winter hat. Actually, I haven't been out in the winter season for a long time now, probably 13 years for proper hiking. But yeah, when I go to the mountains, this is my protection against the glaring sun, or even just keeping bugs off my head and all that kind of thing. Even bumping my head on branches is safer with a hat on. Next question is an interesting one. Who's a supermodel? So show both a male and a female artist and an album by each of them. Artists that you think look like or could be supermodels or something to that effect. So let's start with the male then. I gotta shift it around here. So first of all, we were talking about Sloan. they had a new album out in 2001, and the lead single off that was If It Feels Good, Do It. And they had a video recorded with lots of different randos that were just, invited in. I don't know if they had like, you audition for it or whatever, but various people just telling what rock means to them. And they were recorded in what looks like a fashion shoot setting, but they're just average folks talking. And out of all of them, this guy appeared in one, and I just thought, who is he? Out of everybody in this guy, out of everybody that appeared in the video, this guy had presence and look and style, and I thought, he looks like he thought he showed up for a Vogue photo shoot and was told, sorry, the Vogue photo shoot is in the next building or the next studio. And he was like, you guys just wasting my time or what? So he made an impression on me. I forgot about him, but every time I see that video, he always stands out. And I didn't know who he was. As far as I was concerned, he was just one of the many people who appeared in the video. That was until 2-3 years ago, I started listening to a band called Danko Jones. Danko Jones being the stage name of this fella here. And I started watching some Danko Jones videos. And then suddenly it dawned on me, that's the guy. That's him. So here we go. Let's see some pictures here. This is Danko Jones. Now, he looks really tough and mean. Inside here, he looks like he's, ready to, I don't know, pull your nose off your face or something. Looks tough and mean, but he's one of those tough and mean looking cool guys that could be in a photo shoot for somebody who needs to look tough and mean. So I just felt, yeah, he's got presence, he's got that look, he's got that power, he knows how to pose. He also has pictures where he's wearing glasses and looks more like a, music nerd. But anyway, that's Danko Jones. Then, I'm afraid there are no photos here. This is a young lady called, I don't know how young she is anymore. She's probably in her 30s now, but Chez Amy Dorval. This is a CD that Morten Astad will be receiving in the mail once I post it next week. He won it in a CD giveaway that I was doing. So if you can imagine you are chatting with your friend and, hey, do you remember Shay? Shay, the girl who lived down the road? Yeah, remember her? Yeah. She was cute, yeah. Always seeing her with her guitar and yeah. Well, she's become a professional musician now. She's been recording albums for the last 10, 15 years or so. Really? Oh, that's good. Yeah, she's still doing the singer-songwriter thing? Well, she's done that and she's moved on too. And now she's got more of a full-on band sound with her as well. Oh, that's great. She's still cute. Well, take a look at her Instagram portfolio and take a look at some of the photos there. This one. This. That's little Shay from down the road. Hubba. Man, little Shay grew up. Okay. Yeah. If you see Chez Amy Dorval speaking or singing, she's a nice looking girl. She's cute. She looks like the girl down the road who's just grown up. But if you see some of her Instagram photos, it's like, wow, you know what? Shay is really hot. Okay, so that's my choice for a female. Okay, moving along. I got 2 more prompts here. Is this going to be another 45-minute video? Hope not. One of them, number 9 here, then we've got Make It Stop, Show a Song You Don't Need to Hear Again. Anything that I hear is almost entirely controlled by me through what I have in my collection and what I choose to listen to. So I am not bothered so much by stuff on the radio or television, and if there's something like Suzuki Yami, I just don't listen to it. But I had to pick something. This is an album by Saga called The Security of Illusion. If you know Saga, well, I think their music can be described in a triangle. You've got your neo-prog progressive side, some very technical, interesting music, interplay between guitar and keyboards. You've got your rock side, sometimes, some great lead guitar playing, sometimes rocking out pretty heavy. And then you've got a pop side, which is more pop-like melodies and occasionally some kind of pop-like song. I like Saga, especially for those two sides over here, not so much for this side over here. And Saga went through a period where they were trying to be more relevant in the 80s by being more pop-like. I don't have those albums. But somewhere in the 1990s, two of the guys left in the 80s and came back. And somewhere along the way, they came out with an album called The Security of Illusion, which some people said was a real return to form. So, yay, gotta hear it. However, is this another album? I haven't listened to it in a long time. But it is track number 4 on here, Alone Again Tonight. If you play this song with anybody else around you, you too will be alone again tonight. I was driving to work. I usually take the train, but at that day I happened to be driving. I was drinking some canned coffee drink. That might have been part of the problem. I came to a light to turn and that song was playing. At that time, my car still had a stereo that worked, a CD player that worked. That song came on and I just felt my stomach going, we can't take this. We cannot take this. This canned coffee is fine, but this Saga song is not blending well. I skipped it. I had to skip the track. I could not listen to the rest of it. It is this 80s sounding adult, contemporary, ultra sappy, saccharine ballad type song, and it's revolting. So because of that song, I have actually not listened to this whole album since. I could have picked Babe by Styx, but somehow this one is just even more overly saturated with oopy goopy yuckiness. So yeah, Alone Again Tonight by Saga. All right, and prompt number 10 says to show an album with an excellent duet. Had a few I was thinking of, but why the heck not? Here we go. Sloan's second album from 1994 called Twice Removed, and there is a track at the end here called I Can Feel It, which is sung by Patrick Pentland. Just for those of you who don't know, all 4 members write, all 4 members sing. Patrick Pentland sings the last one, and he is joined by Jennifer Pierce, who was in a band called Jail. I think it was Jale, who, if I remember correctly now, Jail were the first Canadian band or first all-female band to be signed to Sub Pop Records. I forget. They released 1 or 2 albums only. But anyway, they were from Halifax, and Sloan were from Halifax, and so they all knew each other. And so Jennifer Pierce appears as with Patrick Pentland on the last song here, I Can Feel It. She also sings on the previous album with Chris Murphy, this guy here. That's Patrick. He's not looking up. He's got security issues, I think. Anyway, so yes, here's a sample of the song. And I've got a thing for you too. You can have it. You can have it. Really lovely track. Okay, and now I have just probably won the contest for making the longest video in Mike's contest entries, but that's how it goes on Music as a Journey. You need a drink, a snack, and a reclining chair to watch my videos. Thank you, everybody who watched all the way through to the end. Thank you, Mike, for putting forth this contest. Thank you, Caroline, for helping to read out the questions in the contest and all that. And just everybody in Mike's family who all participated in the making of Mike's original video, which will be linked below. And especially thanks to Colton for being a cat. We love cats in this house. We love dogs too. We like cats and budgies. Right. See you all in the next one, folks. Bye.